What's up? I want to give a quick little story time about how I had not only a spiritual message sent to me in the dream come to life, but how I had a African priestess confirm this spiritual dream, right? So a long time ago, back when I was a teenager, um, I was going to school. And for this particular field trip, we were going to the zoo. Now, I'm an animal person. Ironically enough, I don't have any pets, but I am an animal person. I'm an animal lover. Sometimes I will go to sleep to, animals. I have elephant statues in my house. I've always loved animals. I've always loved animals, and I've always loved amphibians. Like I'm in Louisiana, so I'm used to the alligators and the crocodiles and stuff like that. Like I'm used to stuff like that. So I've always loved amphibians, and I always found snakes to be cool. I was never scared of snakes the way that people were. And I used to say, I want to pose with a snake, and I'm thinking posing with a snake like Britney Spears, I want a big snake. And I still to the day wouldn't mind posing with a snake because it's like, it's a snake, it's cool. And when we went to the zoo, there was a snake there, right? Another snake. The snake was smaller. It was a smaller snake that you kind of wrapped around your wrist or whatever the case may be. It wasn't nothing big. So initially I was not going to hold it when the zookeeper asked, does anybody want to hold the snake? This narcissist, this female narcissist, who memorized everything I said, told me, go do it. Because I had said that I wanted to hold the snake, right? I don't know if this narcissist thought I wasn't going to do it or if they thought that they were about to call me a liar and say, oh, you said you would hold the snake, but you wouldn't do it or whatever the case. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, let me go hold the snake because don't tell me to do something thinking that I'm not gonna do it, and not in a flunky manner because it wasn't like she was telling me to go rob a bank. It's just like, don't tell me to go hold the snake thinking that I wouldn't do it. You was expecting me to say no. So I went to the snake and I started to hold the snake. And I thought it was so cool because that was my first time holding a snake. And I actually ended up giving him a name because I had asked the zookeeper, I said, does he have a name? And she's like, no, we're actually trying to find him a name because we just recently got him. So I said, you should name him Kiari, which I ended up finding out later down the line that that's actually Offset from the Migos name. I didn't know that though. I just was holding him and looking at him or whatever, and I just was like, Kiari. And I still think it was a very flattering name for him. So as I'm holding the stake, I'll go to walk up to the class who's like lined up like this with him in my hand, and they all get to backing up. And I thought it was funny because I'm like, y'all be doing a lot of talking, but y'all scared of a snake that I'm literally holding. It's not going to do anything to you. He doesn't even have fangs. So I say all that to say, after this field trip, not too long afterwards, I ended up having a dream of a snake. And as soon as I had the dream, I came to school and I mentioned it. I said, y'all, I had a dream last night. Seen snake. One of the pick me's said, oh, you know what that means? You have a dream of a snake. That means you got somebody around you can't trust. Well, the one time the pick me made sense. I said, yeah, you're right. I know. You're right. I know that. I know. The narcissist, the same person that told me no, the snake says, no, that's not the case. It's because of the snake that you seen at the zoo. So I'm like, nah, sir, because that kind of happened a little minute ago. This is I'm seeing this now. I'm not that attached to that snake to where I would be seeing this in my sleep. And this and at times you can be um seeing things in your sleep when it comes down to things that you have heard or past memories or um recent thoughts. So that can be true. But I was like, nah, sir, I don't think that's the case. I think it's exactly what she just said. Somebody in this room is a snake, and I'm gonna find out who it is. Not too long after that. Um, we ended up going on another field trip. This time we went to a museum. I'm in Louisiana, if you didn't know. We went to New Orleans. And as we were there, There was an African witch doctor who was there, a priestess, excuse me, because she deserves the type of priestess. That's what she is. She's reading me, and I ended up telling her, I said, "Hey, I had a dream of a snake. Can you tell me what that's about?" As I'm reading her, she's reading me in front of the class, and I'm paying attention to people, listening to what she's saying, absorbing what she's saying, who's being very attentive to the things that she's telling me. She was giving general readings to people, just general things that was coming, that she was picking up from our star. And then she was like, if anybody wants an in-depth reading, a shell reading, they can come to the side. So I was obviously like, yeah, I want an in-depth reading. Here comes the narcissist. Me too. We're at the table. She's showing her shells. She's showing my shells. She's saying, you're going to have a partner. You're going to have a partner. You're going to get this because of this. You're going to get that because of that. Some things I'm not going to say that she told me. But one of the things that she mentioned, she said that your partner is going to be dark. And she ended up telling me the um, initial that their name started with, or whatever the case may be. The narcissist is sitting right here. She's literally sitting right here as this high priestess is literally doing a reading on me. So she's sitting here analyzing what she's saying about me. She's more concerned about what she's saying about me than she said about her. So she's going and grabbing males within the classroom. Are you talking about him? He's dark. You talking about him? What about him? And the priestess is shaking her head. No, no, no. She finally ends up walking off. The narcissist finally ends up walking off. The priestess looks at me and says, "The snake you saw in your sleep is her." I said, "Really?" Yeah. Which at that point, it should have been obvious to me that it was her. Fast forward, me and this narcissist got in a fist fight. And I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all why. Because this was the dumbest reason I've ever had to put hands on somebody. I had presentations in math class, right? My cycle, my period came through my pants. I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I need you to bring me a change of pants because this is a big part of my grade and I can't miss it." She's like, "By the time I get there, it's going to be time for you to go because it's the last period. Just tie a jacket around your waist." I said, "I'm going to just ask the teacher, can I sit down? Because it's still noticeable even if I stand up with the jacket around my waist." She said, "That's your best bet." So I go to the teacher. And that, mind you, I have a jacket tied around her waist. Any female knows what that means when a female has a jacket tied around her waist. I whispered to the teacher, I'm like, "Hey, my cycle, can I sit down?" Da, da, da. Yeah. So I'm sitting down. Do the presentation just fine. It's the narcissist's turn. Wants to sit down. Teacher told her, "Get up. Get up and present." Doesn't want to get up. Goes and storms off after begging the teacher to let her sit down and starts crying like a child. Mad because you can't sit down because I was sitting down thinking I'm getting special privileges because you're jealous and envious. This is why when people make it seem like people can't be jealous of you unless you have money and status and fame, that's bullshit. Because why are you huffing and puffing crying because you can't sit in the chair that I was sitting in? When she turned her attention to me and started running her mouth at me, I told her it's space and opportunity at this point. And we fist fought. And after that happened, I literally said, "That woman told me that snake in my sleep was her. I knew it was her." And I had to fight her more than once after that. Black eye and everything. Your dreams will tell you when people ain't shit. When you recognize which ones are a simulation of your thoughts and which ones are prophetic messages, if you get confirmation from somebody, you better listen.